So the first time I ever saw your dad was his family was a singing group, and so they came to my church to sing. All my friends were like, Kathy, you gotta come. This singing group, Rejoice, is gonna sing. It's got all these good-looking guys in it. And I'm very a realistic person, and I'm like any of them are gonna notice us. Why do y'all need to just chill out, So I'm thinking they're not gonna notice us. I thought he was very handsome, and he could sing, and had a beautiful voice. Still my favorite voice. But then his family started attending our church, and his sister and my sister became best friends.
And so I would actually sit in a place where I could look at the windows, and the windows were mirrored. So if I looked just right, I could actually see her in the reflection.
And I was sitting by my mom and I could see him in the reflection. We didn't know we were looking at each other. And my mom would say, Kathy, if that was sitting over there by himself, I would not be sitting by my mama. And I'm like, Mom.
So at that time, we were both super shy. And so I finally asked her out we're at Pizza Hut in D'Iberville. And we went on our first date after that.
So he asked me to the Valentine's banquet, which
on
was
Friday
going to be
the 13th. Yeah.
Friday 13th.
It's a lucky day for us.
And I was trying to be really cool. We were standing by the salad bar.
That's right.
And when he asked me, my legs gave out. It's like, my knees got weak when he asked me out.
I just didn't want to get tongue-tied because, again, at that time we were pretty shy. We didn't talk a whole lot in public. So just asking someone out was a big deal. And she said yes, so I was really excited. So we dated for about 5 years. But within that time, probably in just a few months, she was actually spending the night at Grandma and Grandpa's. And I remember I felt like she was the one. So at the door that night, I looked at her, and she turned around, and I kissed her, and then I looked at her and I said, I love you. And Kathy responded with,
thank you.
Yeah. So and then so she shut the door, and I guess some guys would go like, that's terrible. I loved it. I got in the car and I said, really, I said, I love you. I love you. All the way back home. And the thank you didn't really rock me. But anyway, so that was
I wasn't going to say it till I knew I meant it. We were engaged, and I remember so clearly one night I was just looking at a lot of couples at church and stuff, and so David and I were talking after church, and I just started crying. And I told him, I said, I want to marry you because I love you, but a part of me does not want to marry you because I want to stay in love with you. And all the couples that I see, they're not in love anymore. They don't hold hands. They sit like this. I'm like, they just don't act like they care about each other anymore. And I was crying. I said, I don't want that. And your dad looked at me in the eyes and he made me a promise. He said, I promise you that will never be us.
One of the funniest moments I think I've had with Dad, it was so accidental. He got an egg peeler, an egg desheller. I don't know. You stick a boiled egg in this like little machine and you push down on it and the shell is supposed to come off and the egg is supposed to pop out. Like taking the shell off is not an issue. And he was so excited and he was so pumped, and I was invested because of how invested he was. And he gets this egg in there, he goes to push it down, it is not working. The man is putting in like 210% trying to get something to happen. All of a sudden, this machine just blows out the entire contents of the inside of the egg, just sprays the entire boiled egg in pieces all over.
She liked pacifiers. And so what we did was, if she lost a pacifier, then she would be crying in the night. And any sleep we can get, because she didn't sleep very well at all. So we ended up putting like multiple pacifiers in her crib. So if she happened to lose one, she could reach around and grab one.
That was your Aunt Charlotte's idea.
Yeah.
She told me, just throw a handful of pacifiers in.
So that worked somewhat, but then when she got a little bit older, she had a habit of not one pacifier, but literally right here in this room, she was sitting down and she had three. So she would put one in, and then she put another in, and then she put a third one in. And by that time, they'd start turning at like this. And the two were like this, and after a while, they were just vertical, I think, how many did she get?
Three at a time.
Yeah, 3 at a time. 3
When she
pacifiers at a
slept, she
time.
wanted one in each hand and one in her mouth. So
Yeah.
I said, thanks, sis, for that idea.
Yeah, that was awesome. When I think about your mom, it's funny because, of course, as a man, the first thing is attraction. So a beautiful lady, and so I was attracted. But prayed that God would guide my steps because I wanted a family, and I wanted my family to have a great mom. And Kathy, you are the best mother I could ever ask for my children. I'm so blessed, I can't tell you. And I tell other people, and the cool thing about it, son, is that I just don't think that. People go to your mom for advice. And your mom is a straight shooter, but also she's the queen of common sense. I feel bad because people are out there walking around and they're missing common sense because your mom got it. She got extra helping of it. So she's made me a better man. And when you hear people say this stuff, and it sounds sometimes over the top, but you are my hero. You made me a better man. You made me the father that I wanted to be, and I feel like you've made me better. You're the best of us.
I really enjoyed where we went to a wax museum, and I just wanted to see the cool people, but my mom really wanted me to take a photo with every single wax figure in the place, and there was like 100 of them.
You have those up on your wall though, right?
Yeah, I have photos of me with like random people who I was like 10. I didn't know who they, maybe younger than 10. I didn't know who any of those people were. So I was like in front of like Jay Leno and like Burt Reynolds. People, I don't know who they were as a kid, but I have photos of me in front of them because my mom wanted to make sure I had a photo with all of them.
All of you guys have had great personalities, and usually it takes a while, but from the get-go, we could see personalities in each one of you guys. So when you came along, we always had dinner at the table, and everyone would get a chance to talk. Of course, I'd have to, okay, Destiny, you're done, because the girls like to talk a long time. So we'd get to you, and you talk for a little bit, but then after a while, your personality really came out, and you were not so much a clown. You were just great with comedic timing. You would say sometimes one line and just crack everybody up. But one time we're at the table, and we're talking about what do you want to do, and it got to you, and you informed us all that you wanted to be a chef, and that you wanted to have a restaurant, and that
we could all eat there for free.
We could all eat for free as a family. And then we're like, we're going, this is awesome. And then he said, except for on Wednesdays. And we're like, so why not Wednesdays? You said, because that's fish stick day, and those things are too good. You got to pay for those.
Those things are too good to give away.
Yeah, and then you looked at your mom and you said,
at me and you said, but Mom, you can eat free on fish stick day because you gave me life.
So typically when the New York cousins were down, especially, but not necessarily always, when we would be going to bed, all pretty much crowded together, a bunch of mattresses on the floor, same room kind of thing, the way they would get us to go to bed, tuck us in, but they would promise us that before we went to bed, we would get to hear one of Dad's tootin' stories. But the most iconic one of all time that everyone remembers was the telling of Jurassic fart. Not only because it was actually just really hilarious, I remember a lot of specific details about it, but also because we weren't really allowed to say the word fart, and so it was pretty scandalous for Dad to use it. I do know that the story involved unearthing a fossil of two special dinosaurs. One was a T-Rex and one was a small dinosaur known for its last reflex was to turn around and toot and spray a noxious gas on any pursuers, but it had gotten trapped in a fossil, and when the researchers cracked that fossil open, that tooth that had been marinating for tons of years was released. And I want to say that I can't remember if some of the researchers died, but I do know that at least one of them never grew hair on their legs again. I know that was like a very specific detail that was included in that story.
Brianna loved from the day she was born, or could walk and talk. She loved to be in the center of attention. She loved entertaining people. So Brianna would literally weigh out if the discipline was worth the laughter or the entertainment value. So
it was very quick, but you could see the
You
inner
could see it
workings.
working.
Her eyes were like, I want to do it.
So
And then she'd go for it.
she was probably not even quite 2 yet, and one day she hit Destiny, and then she looked at her and she said, "I saw me," and everybody around her, there's 4 or 5 ladies, they went, "Oh, that's the cutest thing."
They laughed. And
After that, every time there was more than 2 or 3 people around, Brianna was kicking, scratching, hitting, doing something to Destiny so she could tell her she was sorry, and everybody would tell her how cute she was. I had to ask people, please don't tell her she's cute.
Not a good behavior right there. We wanted to encourage.
And she was cute. I love the man of God that he is, and how he loves God, and how he loves his family. He loves me, and he loves his children well. I love, of course, he's very handsome. I used to pick on him and say, I'm glad I married a good-looking guy, because y'all all look like him.
No, that's not true.
But anyway, he loves people well, and he is very open with that. I wish I was more open with that. I feel deeply, and I love deeply, but I am a little more conservative. I love the father that he is. I love the way he's a friend to all. Everyone loves your dad, and he's an amazing man. And I love how he challenges me. He makes me a better person, I feel, as well. I feel like we complement each other. We work together. We try to talk and listen to each other. And I'm just very blessed. I've heard women say, when you get married, now I'm Mrs. David Duncan. I've lost my identity. I never felt that way. I love being Mrs. David Duncan. I love being Dakota's mom, or Destiny's mom, or Brianna's mom, or Sierra's mom. That's a badge of honor for me. I don't feel like I've lost my identity in that. I love that your dad's a hard worker. I love that there's no challenge he's not going to take on. We're building a cottage in the backyard, doing things we've never done before, and he's like, I'll just figure out how to do it. He does.
Just figured out something yesterday. Yeah.
And it's a little scary for me, because but he just does it, and he's good at whatever he puts his mind at. Of course, I love his voice. I love to hear him sing, and I just love him, and I'm so thankful that God chose me to be his wife, and I
Thank you, baby.
blessed every day that I can be that, and I think he is my best friend, and I'm thankful for that. I can't imagine having lived life without him, and I'm looking forward to many, many more years together with him.
I love you.
I love you.
We were in our room, and I believe the Lord woke Kathy up, and Sierra was not breathing. And it was just a traumatic moment. It's one of those things where you see something on TV where people are running around and calling 911. We're trying to get her to start breathing, and right at that moment, the paramedics got here and she started breathing, and they were like, the timing of it was.
She was breathing some, but they
not enough to get enough air in.
So they threw
She turned
me
blue.
and Sierra in the ambulance. Dad followed us, and we went to the hospital. This is kind of a cool thing. It's about Sierra, but it's about God's faithfulness, because it's hard to. I remember sitting in that hospital bed holding Sierra, and we called no one. We literally. Twilight Murphy Matheny lived just a mile up the road, so they were the first ones that could get here, and we called them to come stay with Destiny and Brianna, And we took off and we went to the hospital. We did not call our parents. We did not call our siblings. We did not call anyone else. There was no time. And Twyla Murphy did not call anyone. But we're at the hospital and Grandma Judy walked in. And she said, how's the baby? And I looked at her and I said, how did you know we were here? She goes, it was on the radio. She said, Candy Anderson was on the radio and she said, David Duncan and his wife just had a new baby. And she is in trouble right now. And I need everyone to stop. If you are driving, pull to the side of the road. I don't care what you're doing. Everyone stop and pray for that baby. And so Grandma Judy found out by the radio that we were at the hospital with the baby. Okay, now that sounds like, okay, somehow it got out. I asked Candy, I said, Candy, how did you know to ask for prayer? She goes, I don't know, Kathy, I just knew. That was God's hand.
And this is
That's
before
God's faithfulness.
This is before cell phones.
There was no cell phones.
If there was any out there, they were large as a briefcase, and we didn't have one. So yeah.
You know, sometimes when you walk in life and you're going through difficult things, you look back at what God has done, and there's no doubt in my mind.
I feel like such a big part of like growing up is getting married and just everything she did during that season of my life, like just staying in her old classroom and making the flower bouquets, and then going antiquing together, which I love going antiquing, and then getting her to like look for things that I needed, but also in between she would point out like a vase and be like, that was in your great grandma's house. Or I think we found, it was like the carnival glass. It was this beautiful, it was stunning. And she told me about how Mama had a set that had that glass and how much she wanted it one day. Just the little things like that.
One of my favorite vacations we took, and everyone was old enough to really enjoy it, and just, you know, sometimes you go on vacations and you're so little, it's like we have to remind you what the vacation was like. But we went to Disney World, and we brought Grandma and Grandpa, and we stayed at a very nice resort. We were blessed, and so we, of all places, you think of Disney World, you know, all the fun games and the rides and all the. We went to Epcot, which is like, usually the older folks would like that, but we went to Epcot. And you guys had such a blast with Grandma and Grandpa and with us, because we went from like country to country. Instead of like, we did some rides, but every country, we got a little bit of food. And we all
like
shared the food.
Yeah.
So we all shared, we all got around the table, because I love that there's something about breaking bread and shoot, I almost made it through. I love our family being at the table, talking and laughing and making memories. And so I love, those are special memories for me. The laughing. And even when we leave the table, me and your mom may be in the other room, we hear you guys talking and laughing, and I'll tell her, I said, I love this.
Girls, what's one thing you would want to tell Gigi and Pops?
I love them so much. I love them very much. Oh, very much. So very